one is available to take your call. Please leave a message after the tone.
Jordan, listen to me. Bring back Jump Scare Kirby in your old reviews. This is a message from a fan, my dude. A bunch of people like your new stuff, but I personally like your reviews better. Because I can just watch those anytime, and I love those. And they're funny. Because not a lot of YouTubers have the same personality you do.
You know, for a basement, I expected a lot more. Rather than this junk I got up. Hold on.
You see that? Is game.
There is the phrase, imitation is the greatest form of flattery. And for a lot of YouTubers that make it big or are well beloved, there's going to be a few that are going to mimic their style or methods to see if they too can strike as much gold as their idols. It's hard to deny that a lot of gaming YouTubers we know today also took some inspiration from the early scene of game reviewers, back when they were just doing whatever in the most crusty and archaic way possible.
For those of you who can't speak Latin, the chorus is saying real gay, sissy gay, 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 sissy gay, gay, but sex, astroglide, glory hole, ball.
Whilst also putting their own twist on the formula in order to save themselves from being knocked down as a clone. But that's okay. I don't blame you if you did, because we already know you've been ripping off the golden era of YouTube gaming, who in return have been ripping off Sesco, Ebert, Homestar Runner, and Mystery Science Theater 3000. Dangerous, the rumors so triangulate when. But as a means of helping each other out, why not collaborate with some fellow peers? You know, introduce audiences to something familiar that they like, whilst also being a different flavor. Something new. I mean, hey, that's how I found out about a lot of YouTubers. Even though I'm focusing on the ones that look like they've taken some inspiration from the folks at Normal Boots. But not entirely. And there's a couple YouTubers that I like that have that JonTron-esque peanut butter gamer style to their content. From Catechirus to Scarfulu to Radical Soda. Whilst exact details are a bit vague, for me at least, it wouldn't be hard or out of place for one to think so. Even Pyrocynical did that shit for like one video, and I'd argue that was the highest peak he would ever reach, and never again.
So, please be gentle. I said be gentle!
But for me, out of that large field of gimmicky game reviewers with their own lore to speak of, there is one that I think about more than the others. One that back then and even nowadays I hold dearly to. One that brought something much more different to the scene, that felt unique and inspiring, in a sense that the guy himself probably wouldn't want to admit it. And you can't find that guy anywhere on the surface. You see, he hides underground, within a black void of a small basement, in an indeterminate location that probably costs way too much than what is advertised, only holding a population to a certain Jordan Walker, and all the personifications and Kirby's one can dream of. Yeah, I know, the title is a dead giveaway. I want to talk about Jordan underneath.
What's your favorite type of music?
I like 80s disco.
I like modern pop rock. What's your favorite type of music, Jordan?
Already off the bat, it's made very awkward for me, as this series is centered around the YouTubers I remember watching in the deep past and talking about them. Because I think, despite their fading relevance and intense obscurity that only a small handful of people would give a shit, that they're worthy of checking out and talking about. Jordan, as of recently, and by recently I mean a couple years back, was coming off as someone who doesn't want to think about his past that much, and would rather focus on what he's doing now, going at his own pace on what suits him a lot better. And a lot of his older content he claims just wasn't what he is nowadays. Hence a lot of his past videos were unlisted, then archived, then deleted, then archived again, with some getting lost in the mix. Which also kinda puts me into a bit of a mental headlock. Why must I police myself into keeping this man's past buried under sand and respect his good wishes, whilst also wrestling with my own format and celebrate what he has done previously? I did give it a bit of thought on whether I should go ahead with it, and eventually I just said, The X-Files, Season 4, Episode 17, Tempest, fuck it! I'll just see what happens then. Even before YouTube, Jordan always displayed an interest in the dark, twisted, and strange, going as far back as 2010 with pencil sketches and poetry, as proven by his old works that he posted on DeviantArt. This one unfortunately lost its poetry for some reason. Not gonna lie, his art is pretty fucking sick, in a kind of scary stories to tell in the dark sort of way, how you couldn't really give a shit about the actual stories and you just came to see the disturbing pieces because they were done so good. I'm pretty sure anyone who had access to that book did that. Don't get me wrong, the poetry is pretty cool, coming from someone who did that shit on the side. By 2013, he was jump-starting his YouTube channel, Jordan Underneath, where he proposed of doing 3 different series on the channel. I am not sure what those 3 series were, and you could tell from his very early stuff that he was still finding his footing. Wear your influences on your sleeve until you can take the training wheels off.
Some might say Colonial Marines is a decent game. Some might say they enjoy eating cow shit.
I think this was a time when his basement had brighter lights too.
You will stay with me, and we will become one.
Nevertheless, what he would be doing with his channel is exactly what he told everyone before. Gaming. Talking about games, reflecting on the mainstream and obscure, the ones that make you feel good, the ones that don't, the ones made by indie devs and fans, comparing games, ranting about games, making skits about games, exploring levels in games, dedicating an entire month to a game series. The man's pretty much covered a lot of bases. But oh, he wouldn't be alone on the journey, for he can always rely on Kirby to fall back on, for love and support. Well, a jump scare Kirby no less.
Ooh, jump scare Kirby, I'm gonna fucking kill you. What do you want?
And some of his more wacky relatives, at least to save him from his own manifestations. And boy does he have a lot of them. There's his past visions of his younger self, you got the sad one, you got the Crimson Head, you got Two-Face, there's Papyrus, the Left 4 Dead extra, the shit-eating one, the ketamine addict.
Dental hygiene.
And how could I forget Pyrocynical?
I like the games when they're exactly the same.
And that dark, twisted, and strange horror has never left him. It followed him into the basement, and it pretty much became part of the channel. Whatever video you watched, you could always feel it lingering in the background. There's a lot of spooky weirdness. It comes with the territory. I fucking saw that coming and I still jumped. Fuck you.
You're looking fine today.
Over time, he would further expand his roster, from talking about television shows, movies, and a book on one occasion, to collaborating with fellow YouTubers, such as Batman Reviews, Categories, Indemouse, Categories again, even appearing on the Pizza Party podcast. And I can't really talk about the guy without mentioning his music. On the side, Jordan also made his own music for his channel, kinda really setting the tone for what you expect from this guy. He would actually have a second channel to where he would have uploaded his original ambience, but since then the channel is no longer around. Which fucking sucks because the guy did some banging tracks as well as some calming and dark ones. Is it because they weren't as good to him? Because I think they're fine. Some of them feel very Hotline Miami-esque. Really, the only way to access these is through the internet archive. From time to time, he'll sing you a nice lullaby.
Honey, you know I love you. Where is my money? I am the 1%. My money and time are not to be fucked with capitalism. I will never get enough ripping you off.
And sometimes he's not afraid to get real with his audience. On occasion, either as part of the video or the whole video entirely, he's willing to talk about topics that might relate to the audience on a more personal level. From about having different opinions or hell, even touching on depression. The man did a lot whilst he was active on YouTube. There's clearly a lot of passion for what he puts out, even if it's something simple, like a short skit or even if it's just talking. He's unlike anything that came before him. He is a perky emo guy who geeks out at the dark and strange shit. When you look back at that whole game reviewer scene and you saw what he was up against, a lot of them felt like they were within the same bubble. A format that is easy to do, and hey, it's fun, somewhat flexible, occasionally creative, and it got views. To me, it felt like Jordan took that format and injected much of his personality into it, in a way I don't think a lot of people mention or even think about. At least not anymore. Whenever you saw him in someone else's video, he had a presence. He had a casual, playful, and foreboding feel to the things he talked about. You knew where he was coming from. He is dark and macabre. He thinks and talks about death at times, whilst also still being familiar, that it didn't alienate viewers upon their first watch. I'd take a guess that a lot of normal viewers were drawn in for his love of gaming, while some of the more moodier, somber folks stuck around for his dark humor, dark themes, and subtle feel of loneliness. Or maybe people liked both, which I believe is what added more to his relatability, apart from being a geek, you know? Hey, I was able to relate to his more quieter, serious moments as well as his funnier moments. Jordan had that uniqueness as well as accessibility because of what he was doing. He might have not been the biggest or the most talked about guy out there. He didn't need to be. But he sure as hell did a lot more to put his mark out there, which of course led to his expanded fame. Tributes, fan art, dances, shit, even I did that. And I rarely did artwork for any YouTuber. Which also reminds me.
Hello.
Around 2017, he wanted to try something much more different, transitioning from game reviews to doing puppets and models, later on animations, each one telling their own story and lore of the world he created. He even started to push out actual songs and music videos he made himself. They always carried that dark surreal creepiness, but in a different medium, and starring a newfound expressionism, in a way that suited Jordan much more personally. This was a welcome change and people were curious to where it was going to go, but then things started to become slow. In my eyes, I would almost dub this as his twilight years, as his uploads became less and less frequent, sometimes taking months to over a year, or just straight up not existing. And his internet presence is progressively shrinking, stepping away from social media. To me, I wouldn't have been much of a stinger about the whole change up, except for one thing. He unlisted all his past content, leaving only puppets and animations to do the talking, which led to jump-starting a little rat race to archive all of his past content to show how fucking good he was when it came to his old videos.
I can't escape it, can I? Not for one bloody second.
There is an explanation for all of this, and it's more so boiled down to wanting to be himself more. He was playing this dorky persona with subtle hints of his real self sprinkled throughout, as a means of escapism from a shitty environment, and at the time for him it was fun to do. But this led to a lot of confusion, from him saying things that he felt weren't true to him, to people pointing out that he is a different person in real life compared to his online one. I mean, at that point, are you even surprised? Separate the personal life from the work life?
I think it can just be hard to be like perceived and known for something, especially when that something feels like it's misrepresenting who you are.
His persona and his real self were clashing in a sense that he was torn from carrying on the game reviews. If that's due to how much shit was poorly handled or he got wrong beforehand and it just didn't speak to him anymore. As mentioned previously, that's my take at least. You check some of his older videos, there's a disclaimer warning people that it's old, like it wasn't obvious. One of them has a bit of insecure rambling from a hospital patient.
This is a video that I have quite a few problems with. It makes some pretty weird, untrue
Because I was making a video game show, I always tried to make it sound like my childhood was basically just me alone in a room playing video games all the time. It feels like I had many different childhoods.
I get it! I'm watching an old video! The quality is as crispy as fucking toast! God, wasn't I so cringy? Am I right, kids? I'm glad that he chose to do something different. I'm glad that he likes doing it. And I love the artsy content he was putting out. But with him purging his older content, talking shit about it, and sticking disclaimers here and there, I don't know, I just thought of it as a bit much. Because a lot of people, myself included, did grow up with that content and enjoyed it. People were introduced to an amazing man who did amazing things. So for him to pull off that sort of thing, came off as him distancing himself from his old fans. Now, yes, there are arguably worse ways of doing that, but it feels like he's overlooking what got him to where he is now. Even though he would resume the gaming content on another channel, and never again.
Hey, I'm ready to go.
He's gonna kill Darkness, and Darkness is an innocent guy, like, he does not deserve this treatment.
If the dude was really stressing out at how he was being perceived, here's the thing. I don't think anyone cared if he was playing a character or not. He was down to earth, he was easy to watch, his content was so comfy and simple, yet it had a lonely and surreal feel to it. You could watch him in whatever mood or mindset you're in, when it's a good day or a bad day, when you're sick or when you want to relax, when you have a personality that embodies something approachable, unique, relatable, and enjoyable to watch, that's all really anyone could have asked for. His specialty is entertaining others through whatever means suit him. And everyone that stuck around loved what he was doing. He is a guy that makes good videos. If you were to watch either of his new videos or old videos, and you check that to this day he's still getting love and support for his future endeavors, you know you're watching someone really special. Not only to him as a YouTuber, but to him as a person. The man could make a video about a 30-second piss break, and we'd still tune in for that.
Why not throw babies all day? Throw that fat ball of fat. Juicy squish and flab and fat.
Jordan underneath also did something that I personally never thought he would have been able to do. He got me back into YouTube. Now, back then, I simply had no idea what I was going to do. If I was going to hop onto the commentary train like everyone else was, or try something with the already limited knowledge and resources I got. Around the same time, Jordan also released This Is My House. I saw this new content and I thought, wait, maybe I can do this sort of thing. And so I did after a little while, started to build up a strange world with strange characters. And it was shit. They were rushed, being made within one day, they looked cheap, the lighting was terrible, and the camera I had wasn't good. I was doing it with genuinely no idea or lore behind it, more so forcing out this element of vague creepiness. I was hoping some weird nighttime YouTuber would catch in, but it didn't work. Compared to Jordan, which for him it was more natural, but I admit, I made them. But then Fuck This Nonsense Productions came around, wiped all the tapes, burned them in the furnace, they didn't even save the telesnaps. They tried to let a Foamy the Squirrel wannabe become the main face of the channel, but that didn't work out too well. Don't ask me where he is. And then here I am.
Here you are, here I fucking am.
Nowadays, Jordan is a bit like JD Salinger or Kikiyama, only making appearances on rare occasions, and he seems to be primarily focusing on his music. His channels have either been deleted or dormant, with signs of life being at 0, and the people who are looking forward to his new content being reduced to skeletons. I'm not saying he should be pumping out videos on the daily, I'm just pointing out on what's making him shrink. Really, his fading presence just brings up more questions, because this doesn't feel like closure. This feels like emptiness. This feels like a cliffhanger that can't decide if it wants to be a cliffhanger or not. Will he continue to expand his little world? Is he going to put his songs out for all to hear? Will the gaming content come back? Will the reviews come back? Will the off video finally be done? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. Shit, I might have gotten something wrong here and there. I'm just someone who wants to talk about and celebrate old and obscure YouTubers because they meant something to me when I was growing up. Jordan underneath wasn't like anyone else. And I think that's what hurts the most. No matter which direction he took, whatever he did, he made sure to make it his own thing. He has his own life. He can focus on whatever he wants to. But damn, it sure does feel lonely without you.
I don't know why you did what you did, but you have forever ahead of you, so just keep walking. Anyway, good luck.
Thanks, Jordan, for making us feel just as lonely as you are.